Dorrance Armstrong, Brian Anger, Noah Brown, Maurice Kennedy, Corey Clement, Michael Gallup, Randy Gregory, Malik Hooker, DeMonte KZ, Jaron Kearse, Jake McQuaid, Keanu Neal, Tyne Secchi, Dalton Schultz, Jeremy Sprinkle, Malik Turner, Brent Urban, Leighton Vander Esch, Carlos Watkins, Connor Williams, and Cedric Wilson. So those are your 21. You only get to keep 5. Now, in reality, I think there's a pretty decent shot you keep more than that, because when we had Steven on Monday, he said, look, we're not going to go out and make any big free agent splashes or anything like that. Our goal is going to be focus internally and re-sign our own guys. So it could end up being more than this.
So I guess I wrote down as you're going through there, this is not easy to do. And I'm going off of a little bit of how much money we have and don't have.
Yeah.
Brian Anger, I would like to keep. I know that's weird that I want to keep a punter.
That's not weird at all to me.
It's more weird that he was the first name that you brought up.
It was in alphabetical order.
That's true. That is true.
And I guess I'm going a little bit out of order, because then later down the list, as I was like, I don't know, I would like to keep Dorrance Armstrong. He's a solid rotational defensive end, because I don't want to keep Randy Gregory.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to give him possibly the money that he's going to get or want.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of him.
Okay.
Let's go with, let me ask you this. Who do you like better, Kearse or KZ?
Kearse.
Let's keep Kearse, because I was listening to
G-Bag yesterday.
And we only have Donovan Wilson under contract, so we might need to keep one of our safeties.
And Donovan Wilson did not, I know he had flashes here and there, but he did not stamp himself as a starter, undoubtedly.
I like Cedric Wilson.
Okay.
Let's keep him. And I get one more?
You get one more.
Looking at our linebacker depth, people will get mad at me.
Whoa.
I'm going to keep Leighton Vander Esch.
Okay. All right. Now,
wait, so you went with Cedric Wilson over Michael Gallup, even with him saying that you didn't have to consider the money?
I considered the money. I didn't listen well.
Fair.
That's what I was like.
I figure Cedric Wilson I can keep at around, I'm going to guess, I have no clue, $7 to $8 million a year, and I'm going to guesstimate Michael Gallup gets like 12.
I honestly, I'm not going to lie, I could be proven way wrong. I would be shocked if Cedric Wilson got $7 to $8 million.
You think it'll be less?
Yeah, I think it'll be like 4 or 5.
Oh,
I really do.
I like that even more.
I really do. Now, from the...
What do you think Michael Gallup's going to get?
8, 9.
Sammy Watkins got like $16 million 8 years ago.
I know, definitely. But the thought always was that Sammy Watkins could be the number one wide receiver. I think you've seen it clearly. The Michael Gallup cannot be the number one wide receiver. And then coming off the injury as well, I think his number is going to be lower. Interestingly, when you talked about Anger first, even though it was in alphabetical order from the 817, first off, pay Brian Anger above all else. So I like that. From the 210, Anger, Gregory, Kearse, Cedric Wilson, and Malik Hooker. From the 817, Gregory, Anger, Wilson, Gallup. From the 214, keep that punter for sure. So
okay. Can I ask something?
Yeah.
And maybe this is me not watching the Cowboys well enough or good enough. Malik Hooker. What did he do things that made him good this year? I don't remember him doing horrible things.
My thought about that would be, and this might be something that I gleaned from the G-Bag Nation, so I don't want to rule that out, is Malik Hooker is the youngest of the bunch. And one of the things that Broadus said yesterday, I think Broadus and Kavanaugh were on board with this, is it's really hard to separate yourself from somebody who you were really high on in the draft. And he was drafted 5 years ago. He was the number 15 pick. And they're like, hey, I liked him coming out of college. I still like him now. And the other thought that went along with this is, if Dan Quinn does move on, Denver was just in Dallas to interview both of your coordinators. And I saw Bobby Belt say, I'd be surprised if they left without one of them inking the deal, probably Dan Quinn, is if you even tweak the scheme a little bit, how much presence would Malik Hooker have as opposed to, Neal or Curse or whatever?
Right. And I heard also yesterday that why wouldn't Curse want to go with Dan Quinn as a free agent? He knows how to use him.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense to me. I
guess I'll lean towards, look, I'm mad at Randy Gregory for Sunday.
Okay.
Just to tell, I'm furious with the crap that he pulls and his lack of understanding the game of football.
Okay.
His talent, I can understand the Tolo wanting to keep his talent. So I'm not against Randy Gregory. At 30 years old, how many years and how much money do you want to give him with also his injury history? I get the weed history doesn't matter anymore, but the injury thing, I know he's going to miss 3 to 5 games.
Yeah.
So how much money do I give him?
And that is a concern when I heard RJ say 2 years, we talked about it yesterday. I thought about 10 million. So 2 for 20, I'm all over that because of the talent. My list.
I feel like you're really low on these numbers.
And that's the thing, is if that is
I like all the numbers you're giving.
Yeah. But I'm saying,
I want to sign a lot of these guys at your number.
But I'm saying if the numbers go beyond that, I'm prepared to move on. So I guess maybe I'm kind of giving you what my threshold is maybe as well, and I'm prepared to move on if that's not the case. So I also went with Brian Anger. And look, your punter became a weapon during the season. And I know it seems crazy, but how long has it been since you felt like the Cowboys had a special teams weapon? I went with Anger, Gregory, Curse, Gallup, and Schultz. And the one I wanted to really focus in on was Dalton Schultz. Mm-hmm. And I stole these stats from Bobby Belt because Bobby Belt has amazing stats all the time. And I'm really glad that he's part of the fan. So this is Jason Witten and Dalton Schultz in their 3rd and 4th seasons. Jason Witten in 05 and 06 had 130 receptions. Dalton Schultz had 141. Jason Witten went for 1,511 yards. Dalton Schultz went for 1,423. Jason Witten went for 7 touchdowns. Dalton Schultz went for 12.
Are you saying Dalton Schultz is going to have the 4th most receptions in NFL history?
That feels like a stretch.
He might have 3rd.
I mean, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm,
but what I'm saying, when you look at those statistics side by side, he had a better 3rd and 4th season than Jason Witten did. And I think he is on the cusp of that perpetual Pro Bowl run.
Okay. So I'm with you. Maybe I should change Cedric Wilson for Dalton Schultz. Now, that being said, I just want to know your number on Dalton Schultz.
Now that
did you hear what Bobby Belt said his number will probably be?
It's probably high. I did not. What did he say?
He thinks that it could 10? Get up to $12 million a year on Schultz in the market.
And I had heard, the other day when you were talking about some of the garbage teams that have all the money to spend. So word was going around a couple weeks ago, and we talked about it, that the Jets have targeted Dalton Schultz as their primary, and they're we'll do whatever it takes to get it done. And that's the case. Do I have a perpetual Pro Bowl player or on the verge of becoming a perpetual Pro Bowl player? I like that. If he's a tight end and he costs $12 million, well, then clearly I'll need to reevaluate. So, yes, I hate that number. I love the player, but I hate that number.
Well, I will say this, credit to the Cowboys. I'm just looking at his bio here, that in 2018, in the 4th round, you got a tight end that contributed that much. Not his rookie year, but his 3rd and 4th year, and somewhat his 2nd year too, that he contributed that much, being a 4th round pick. You would hope that if Dalton Schultz goes somewhere else, which I think he will because his number is going to be $10+ million, is that you can find another tight end as good as Dalton Schultz in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round.
But one thing that I think we should consider in some ways, and I got this from David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, when I was talking to him last, is, the uptake on a tight end. It seems to be not as quick as we would love to believe.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting a top tier tight end, 1st round pick type tight end, which I don't think anybody is advocating for these Cowboys to draft. So yeah, maybe you replace him, but then is that tight end going to come in and immediately make that effect, particularly the type of effect that Dalton Schultz seemed to have with Dak Prescott, where he seemed the most comfortable going to him in a season where down the stretch, that was a quarterback that seemed to have a lot of discomfort.
And look, and that's a great point, because you look in that playoff game when Dak couldn't complete a pass to save his life, and he was like, I need something. Who did he go to? He went to Dalton Schultz. And I know the logic. I know I know the logical argument that people have against Dalton Schultz is he can't block. You know what I'm going to tell you? I don't care.
Can he not block, though?
He cannot block. I don't care. And here's why. Because I think that is just the way that the NFL is going if you want a level of tight end. Like, I think you look at certain tight ends, especially, I know Dalton Schultz is like not a big stretcher of the field, but like, how many players do we have to say, yeah, but they're great blockers too? Like, you've got your offensive line, obviously. We put Zeke in already because he's a better blocker, even though he's not a better runner. Do we need to put a tight end in too because he's a better blocker than a better runner? Right. So you're telling me every time from here on out, we have to have 7 people to block to hide the deficiencies at the expense of the rest of the offense? I don't like that.
This is what I don't know. I'm going to throw this out as a question.
But he can't block.
Does Dak rely on a tight end so much that a tight end's always going to have good numbers here? And if that's the case, should that be a priority if Dak is so tight end reliant?
I think that goes hand in hand with some of the deficiencies of the offensive line, right? Because the thought is you go to the tight end when you need to go shorter or you're under duress. And, But
that's not necessarily the case because... And I think that we should really examine what Mike is asking here because I know that I didn't view Schultz particularly highly. And, of course, this has to do with my expectations. There's very good possibility that I was just wrong on these dudes. And I'm going to put that up before I even get into this. But Dalton Schultz I wasn't super high on, and he has come on very well. Let's go back one more tight end. Blake Jarwin I wasn't particularly high on, and he came on particularly well, and that's not even necessarily just those dump-off routes. That's down the field, down the seams, post routes, those types of things. So I do wonder if maybe that is a situation where you get any serviceable tight end, and it ends up looking really good because of the nature of the offense and the quarterback you have.